Good evening, everyone. Welcome you all here. The topic for today is the power of why. It's 7 a.m. in the morning, and I'm getting ready for my gym, and my little one, 3-year-old, asks me, "Dad, where are you going?" I tell him, "I'm going to the gym." "Dad, why? Why do you have to do that?" And I tell him, I have to get stronger to climb the mountains and run through the creeks for my next Spartan race. He said, "Why do you have to do that?" I tell him, "Spartans don't give up, buddy." And there was a sparkle in his eyes, and he says, "Just like a superhero?" And I reassuringly told him, "Just like a superhero." Next week, he falls down from a couch and he is crying. He has tears in his eyes in pain. And I come next to him. I tell him, "Remember, Kianch, you are a Spartan." Something magical happens. He wipes his tears, he puffs his chest, he wakes up and he says, "I am a Spartan, I am strong. The next time I fall, I will stand up and run again." That very magical moment told me the power of human resilience much more than any other business book would have taught me. Welcome you all to my life with Kianch, my 3-year-old personal philosopher, life coach, and the cutest Spartan I've ever met. Today I'll tell you about the story of the power of whys, the 3 whys which define humanity. The first why, the why of trust. A few months back, my parents were visiting us from India. Being typical grandparents, they were pampering my 3-year-old, but also trying to push in some lessons. The flavor of that week was talking in Hindi. Few words in Hindi, and they were doing that, and Kianch, my 3-year-old, chuckled, smiled, confused, and just ran up to me and said, "Dad, I don't understand what Grandpa and Grandma are saying." I just let that moment go. Next week, I was looking across the room, and the grandparents were talking to that little one in full sentences in Hindi. To my surprise, he was responding back in English and doing gestures as if that conversation was seamless. That made me realize that you don't necessarily need a common language. Just the power of trust and human connection could make incredible things happen. Let me take this to the business landscape. One of the largest transformations I've led for a business was bringing 2 companies together. There were 2 engineering teams which had to work together to define their vision, even if they were working on the same business landscape or the technology, but they were worlds apart on how they operated and how they made decisions. The breakthrough happened not because of strategy, processes, or frameworks, but when they started to tell why they do what they do. We forgot using any slide decks. We actually started talking aspirations, dreams, vision, and then that changed the story. That brought those 2 teams together with trust. Lesson from that story. Trust precedes results. Let me tell you the second story, the why behind purpose. Back in 2016, I was very fortunate to be part of a team which was working on an audacious dream. The dream to digitize India through a telecom service called Jio. Think about AT&T today has 110 million subscribers Jio today has 4 times of that, 440 million subscribers. That is more than the entire US population together. Now, let me take you to the boardroom conversation of that company. There was a strategy readout happening where they had to talk about the business model. While that was happening, a very seasoned industry executive stood up very boldly, pounded the table and said, "Why are we charging our plans so low? Have you even looked at the competitors? Have you looked at the West? We are going to lose billions of dollars on the table." The response from the chairman defined what purpose was all about. He said, "Even the farmer's child deserves equal access to knowledge and data as that of investment banker's child." That purpose changed history for that company, for the community, and for the country. I reflect back. Every transformation, when the purpose is linked with human impact, the impact to humanity at scale, that is not just a transformation, but that is a movement. Let me take you to our third and the final story of today, the why behind discovery. You remember the Spartan race? Let me take you back to my first Spartan race. 2 miles into my race, carrying a 60-pound sandbag carry, climbing up the mountain, and I was asking myself 100 times, why did I sign up for that race? After that race, I reflected. It was not about completing every obstacle, but it was discovering my limitations, my capabilities, and potentially pushing my own limits. Similarly, in business, in your careers, in your lives, welcome the question of why not? Why not transform? Why not experiment with this new venture? Why not try this process? Why not try this career? Just that question of why not will give you the power of discovering what the realistic potential is out there. With that, I will probably challenge you all to say, let's celebrate every why. Whether it came from your child, your teacher, your family, your parents, or your inner voice. Like you remember, Kianch, when he fell down from the couch, that was an opportunity to understand that when you fall down, you can stand up and drive resilience. For every question in this life, there is an opportunity to discover trust, human connection, and the potential. And with every why, it connects you to your human journey of climbing the mountains of your life, running through the creeks to find your happiness, one curious question at a time. Thank you all.